Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We're live for another Masterclass session. Today I'm going to be showing power users how to create kind of a winter or holiday themed village or town using the fantasy regional style and most likely some of the holiday stamps that come with that holiday pack, which we released for everyone to use. It's not just limited to the holidays now. Hey, Alice, one of my favorite people, already here. Great. So we're going to make basically a winter or holiday themed village. Now, about every year, I won't be doing it this year, but about every year I generally come up with a one shot or do the same one shot that I do with my players, and it's called Frostfall, the Curse of Ilevarg, in which my players are traversing across the Winter Kingdom, trying to get to the Kringle Township, and trying to reach Chris Kringle, and then going on an adventure to stop the evil Ilevarg, this character right here, from stealing the North Star and pretty much keeping Christmas, or any holiday really, from happening. So my players are traversing across the Winter Kingdom, trying to take out Ilevarg and his host of minions, trying to retrieve the North Star. So I'm going to be making that Kringle Township, this township right here. And I made a certain version of it right here. We'll make something similar. We'll probably use different stamps, but I generally enjoy making towns and villages, so we'll kind of go over how to put all that together. So thank you everyone for watching. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. I'll create a new map. We're going to go to Fantasy Regional. I'm going to go with 4K editing. If you have a lower end machine, I would recommend using maybe 2 or 3K. Let's go ahead and name this Kringle Township or Kringle Town. It doesn't really matter. Township. And we're just going to leave it with a standard 40 by 30 landscape. Go ahead and load that up. And then we'll get started. Okay. All right. Go ahead and zoom out. So one of the first things that I'll do is I want to create like the terrain. Whenever I'm putting together any kind of map, I build from the ground up. I never put the buildings down first and then put the terrain underneath that. I'll build the terrain first because the structure, the layout of any structure that you put down is going to be determined by the terrain, right? Like it's hard to know what to build where without having the terrain there. So I've always said, just build from the ground up. So we'll build the terrain, and the terrain is likely to be some kind of snowy type of terrain. We'll choose this one, Snow Bright, and we'll just go ahead and fill for now. A little bright there. And then I'm not going to worry about adding like mountains and all that stuff. I think one of the things I did see were some mountains in the background, so we might want to consider doing that. Why don't we use some frozen ones? We type in mountains here. These are going to be kind of a backdrop. Let's use these larger ones just to get a sense of more height out of it. I think what I'll do is go over to the transform. Right down here at the bottom, you'll see a transform. And I'm just going to bump the height up just to give these mountains a little bit more grandeur. They feel a little bit taller. And then I'll also change the blend mode a little bit. So let's go over to blend mode and go to luminosity. And then why don't I also make a couple other color adjustments? We'll maybe bring the contrast down and bring the brightness up. There we go. Okay. And I'll go ahead and put some mountains in the corner that will kind of frame. So we'll put some mountains over here. This looks good. Let's put some over here. And this will be, our township will be right here. So I've got my terrain there. Let's go ahead and add some smaller variations of that same stamp. There's some smaller ones. Yeah, there's these big, large gray mountains and then these small gray mountains. Let's use them both. We'll go make the same changes, luminosity blend mode, and then we'll make some color adjustments up here at the top by bringing the brightness up and bringing the contrast down. And then we'll place some smaller ones at the foot of the mountains there. Let's put them up here. Let's get some different variety in sizes. Maybe add one there, here, here. Get some even smaller ones. There we go. That looks good. Okay. I think overall that looks okay. Let's go ahead and just kind of move these around a little bit just to make it a little bit more interesting. We cluster these together. Put a smaller variation in right here. There we go. Let's maybe move these out of the way a little bit. This, move this one in. Okay, this looks good so far. All right, always good to have the terrain down first. Okay, so we're kind of framing in. This is going to be the back side of the township. right here, why don't we also throw in a couple more terrain options? Why don't we use some cliffs to give a sense of height? No, same thing before. I want them to kind of match. So I'll use that luminosity blend mode, go back up to the color settings, bring the brightness up and the contrast just to kind of match with the rest. And what's really nice to use the cliffs for is just if you connect them with the line work of the mountain. So if I place the stamp right here like this, then it kind of looks like it's a cliff that's attached to the base of the mountain there. Then I can also add a couple more cliffs to make it more interesting. Why don't I actually bring the brightness up a little bit more on these just to make them a little bit brighter? That looks good. Okay, just going to keep adding these. We'll add a bunch of them. Let's see here. This one looks good. I kind of like this size. That looks good there. Let's just keep adding. Let's see. Oop, this one looks good right here. Why don't we place that like maybe right there like that? That looks good. Let's move this down to here. Let's move these out away from the backside there. Move it over here, bring the scale up a little bit. There we go. Looks a little better. Okay. Bring the scale up on this one. That looks good. Okay. All right, let's add in a couple more. Add in a couple more stamps in the back just to give a little bit more transition between the ground texture. What are we doing right now, Toxic? We are making basically a winter or holiday village. I do a one-shot every year called Frostfall, The Curse of Illivard. So we're making the town in which my players are trying to travel to speak with Chris Kringle and everyone who lives in the north in the Winter Kingdom, and they're trying to save the holidays from the evil Illivard, basically an abominable snowman. So that's basically what I'm making is just this township. It's going to be the most important town in the one-shot because my players are trying to get here. So I don't believe they start here. Some just depends. I do the one-shot a little bit differently, kind of hash it up every year. I'm not sure how everyone approaches those, but yeah, it's a great one-shot. My players really like it, and I kind of enjoy doing a little spin-off out of it every year. Make it a lot of fun. Sometimes some years I make it humorous, other years I make it much more darker. It just depends on what my players are feeling at the time. All right, so that terrain looks good. I think overall that looks good. We could add just maybe a couple more mountains over here. That might look good. I don't really care for that one. Let's maybe use a different one. I kind of like this one right here. Let's go ahead and rotate it that way. That looks good. Okay, I think overall this looks good. Let's maybe move these over to here, this over to here. Okay, that looks good. All right, the next step, let's continue adding our terrain. Why don't we put some, let's put some trees in. You know, trees work really well at like the base of mountains. So why don't we do that? Why don't we place a bunch of trees just right here along these cliffs, kind of going up the cliff here, maybe even going up the side of the mountain, like this. In fact, those trees could probably be just a little bit smaller. Let's select all from the set. It is at the same scale as the mountains, but I'm going to go ahead and scale it down more, just a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting. Yeah, well, I do have Krampus in my one-shot, by the way. It's one of the mini-bosses that your players fight against. Though, I think last year my players were able to get around fighting Krampus. They were able to get rid of that. I really wanted them to bump into Krampus. I had done some fun little statting for them and some cool attacks, but it didn't pan out, so, and that happens. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in the trees here. The trees are really nice. They kind of create this transition between the ground texture and the mountains, just like the cliffs do, just making it more interesting. Don't forget to even put some trees like on the mountains themselves, kind of climbing up the mountains. I think that always looks nice when you're looking at a nice mountain and you see those trees just kind of climbing right up the ledge of the cliff there. It just looks so nice. So let's go ahead and throw those up. Let's put in a whole batch right here. Put a couple in behind. One of the biggest tricks to creating depth is to have overlap. So put trees in front of some of these mountains, put some behind some of them, put them in front of the cliffs, on top of the cliff. And what you do is you'll start to create this sense of depth because there's so much overlap going on with the trees, with all these stamps, and it starts to create this illusion of depth when you've done that. So if you really just overlap all of these things, you can really have a map that feels so much more in depth. Okay, I've got my autosave set. I think much of the terrain is kind of coming together. What we could also consider doing is some foothills, just like the highest part of a terrain is generally the mountains. And then as you go further and further away from the mountains, the terrain begins to slowly decline, slowly more and more and more until you get to the ocean. So sea level up to the highest level, which is going to be like the mountains. So in that transition between high points and low points are going to be middle points. And why don't we use hills to represent those middle points in our elevation change? Now, we don't have any snowy hills that I know of, but that's not a big deal. We can just go ahead and use our luminosity blend mode. Hey, first time chatter. Glad that you're here. You're right. Players are never going to do what they want. That's why I usually hash up everything. If my players avoid something or they don't get to it, then I'll assign the task or the event to a different location, to a different NPC. That's just the way that it is. And you know what? It makes you a better DM too as well. Because one, there are ways that you can encourage your players to go to certain locations and encounter certain NPCs, but what you can't do is force them how to interact with them. And honestly, it shows more skill as a DM to work in those situations where your players might kill off an NPC that was important to the development of the story. Then you have to assign that to a new NPC or a new location, kind of putting you on your toes, always making you a better DM. So that's just my approach. I never set any of my things in stone, my events or my NPCs, because my players will likely kill them. And probably the most ridiculous of ways. And that's okay. I don't try not to form too much attachment to my NPCs. I know that any moment they will murder them. All right, so let's go ahead and use that luminosity blend mode. Keep in mind that the luminosity blend mode does not affect the brightness or the contrast, so you'll have to bring the brightness up or down when you add the luminosity blend mode. Let's make sure that I want them to really kind of blend in with the ground. So let's bring the contrast down so that I can really get rid of those dark lines. See, when I bring the contrast up, you notice the darker spots get darker. But when I bring the contrast down, those darker points begin to fade away, causing them to look a little bit more natural. So now I can go ahead and place these hills right here like this. Now I got these nice foothills. Let's put a couple here, some over here. Don't forget to cluster them together. Don't forget to overlap. Let's put some over here. Let's put a big one in right there. Let's put just a random one over here, kind of framing a little bit. Some smaller ones over here. That looks good. All right, yeah, the terrain is coming together. Why don't we also throw some trees behind the hills and on top of the hills and in front of the hills? Okay, hey, Witch of Glass. Okay, let's go ahead and do, so right now, when I place a tree, it will be behind it because it's on the same layer of those hills. But so I'll place all the trees that I want, both in the front and the back of the hills, and then I'll go up a layer and place some hills on top of it. That's kind of my method. So let's do it like this. There we go. Place it big. We'll put a big bunch right here, making it kind of look like this Kringle Township is kind of nestled in between the mountains, some woods, and some foothills, making that landscape very interesting. So let's do that. Let's put a little bit more down here. Again, I'm trying to frame the Kringle ship by just throwing in more trees. Put some over here a little bit. Don't forget to put them in front and behind. There we go. Let's put a couple over here. And then just don't forget just to put some single randos like this, just to give it a little bit more interesting feel to it. There we go. And then we'll go up a layer. And then let's place some of those trees right on top of the hills. So let's leave a couple hills empty to put like a building or something on top of it. So let's place a couple on top of this hill. That one. This one should look good. There. We'll put something on top of this hill right here. I don't know what yet. Let's put one here. Let's put something on top of this hill. So we'll put it on top of here, here. On top of this hill would be good. This is a bigger hill. Let's put something like a building on top of that hill. There we go. Okay. All right, that looks good. Let's also put some on top of these. Since I'm up a layer, why don't we put some on top of these shorter mountains right here, just to kind of give it, because trees can grow just about anywhere outside of like your alpine level. So once you kind of get any higher than that, just air gets a little too thin. Trees can't really grow there. So just on these shorter mountains, I think, is a good place to place them. There we go. Okay. Let's take a step back and just take a glance at what we've created here. We've got a nice mountain range here in the background. This is going to be like the back part. And it also makes sense because this is going to act as a natural defense. It's nestled in between this opening or this kind of outcropping that's kind of in the mountain, so that it acts as a defensible. They can't be attacked from behind without magical means, flying or whatever. So the defenders of that village or town will always have the front of the village have visibility, so they'll be able to see when attackers are coming and won't have to worry about attacks from the backside of the village. So now that we've got all that together, I'm just going to go ahead and take this and I'm going to take a look at it real quick. And what we should do from here is put in the center part of the village. And what I want to do is create like a circular, like center in which where there's like a Christmas tree or some kind of tree in the center. And that's going to represent maybe where the star is supposed to be on top of that tree, and maybe it creates like a force field that protects the Kringle Township from, I don't know, attacks from Illavarg, or a combined effort with Krampus and Illavarg, or whatever it might be. So why don't I create the center ring of the village, and then I can put all my buildings and all my structures around that ring. So let's go ahead and go into the catalog here. And there's a couple new stamps called effects, which I think you might like. Let me just type in effects here. See, there's really, really nice effects here, like explosions, arcane circles. We've got some force fields, smoke. All of this stuff is going to be really helpful. Even right here, you got like a tornado cloud swirl, some more detailed wave stamps, whirlpools, lots of cool stuff with these stamps. We'll probably be using these a little bit later, but I want to use one of these stamps to kind of help me with being the center. So I'll maybe use this stamp right here. We might not end up using it per se, but let's go ahead and change the U to maybe more of a more bluish type of color. And this will be kind of the center of the village, and then all of the buildings will go around that. And I kind of have a list of buildings that I want to put in there. And the buildings for the Kringle Township vary on whether my one-shot is going to be dark, whether it's going to be humorous, whether it's supposed to have a mix of humor and be super dark. If it's super dark, then I usually label or have different buildings depending on the seriousness of my one-shot. I think the last one-shot I did, it was pretty, with this one, was pretty humorous. People were ready for the end of the year and wanted something light. So I made buildings to kind of suit that lightheartedness. Let's go ahead and go into the catalog and we'll look up that holiday. You'll see right here it says holidays, and then all the holiday stamps are here. It's not just the winter themed holiday, it's also got the Halloween and the Valentine's Day stuff. But let's go ahead and use a tree. That's the first thing right here. I'm going to place this just right on top. Right here is going to be my tree, right there in the center. Now that I've had that set up, I can start picking my buildings. And there are some good choices for this. Like the Viking buildings already have snow on top of them already. So if you don't want to do the extra work of painting on the snow or using the shape tool to put snow on your roofing, I'll show you how to do that. But just to save us time, I'll just use these ones right here, these snowy Viking buildings. I think these are a good choice because they already have snow on them. I'll put down one building that doesn't have snow on it so I can show you how I approach doing that. So here's one building right here. Let me quickly type in a house and I'll show you how I go about doing that. So what I'll do is let's take one building. Let's go with this one right here. So you see I have this building right here. The way that I put snow on top of these things is I use the shape tool. So I'll go and use the pen. I'm going to turn off my stroke. In fact, I'll open my stroke real quick and turn off, let's see here. Let's do the fill. Okay, there shouldn't be. Okay, let me just go in here real quick. Okay, this looks good. We don't do any stroke. We're going to do fill. We're going to do texture. We're going to type in snow. And let's go incarnate because there's so much snow textures that you can choose from. There's no real reason to limit yourself to just fantasy regional, though I'll try to make it mostly. But there's this alpha texture in Parchment World called snow. This works perfect. And what I'll do is I'll zoom in, and my recommendation is to scale up the building a little bit so it's easier for you to work with, and just go across like this with the pen. Then just press add, and then you're going to want to bring it up a layer. Now, one thing you'll notice about the snow is that it has these hard edges to it. If you simply just blur like this and just bring the blur down a little bit, you can remove some of that hard line. And then when I place that snow, when I place these two, we're getting a little stuck there. There we go. If I place these two right next to each other, you'll notice that it's very, very similar, right? So you can put snow on top of a building, and you don't have to use that. If you want to use a different snow texture like this one, you can totally do that. Just remember, you do want to blur just a little bit because there's that hard line right there that you have. But I like to use this one in particular. I think this one kind of works the best. You don't have to blur it either. If you fit it in properly along those edges, you don't have to have a blur. So, but it's up to you. So you can put snow on any building just using the shape tool, no stroke, and a fill, and then just use a snow texture of your choice. Just remember that if there's this hard line on the edges there, it might be a little weird. So a nice little trick that you can do there. I don't want to spend half my stream putting all of the snow on these buildings, so I will stick with using the Viking settlements, but at least you know now how to do it. So let's go ahead and expand all the assets in here. Expand all. Oops, not working there. Oop, there we go. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and choose a building for maybe like a workshop of some kind. Let's use this big one. I think this looks good right here. And then why don't we put this one right next to this one to make it look like it's a bigger building? Let's go ahead and place a building right here. And the way that I'm attaching these is I'm lining them up with my circle. So this one right here, notice how this kind of lines up with that circle there. That works out good. Let me go ahead and line this one up a little bit with that circle. Let's go ahead and place another one. This one should look good. Let's see here. That should look good right there like that. Let's go ahead and add a couple more. There's these ones as well. This one right here works quite well right there. This one right here, the angle looks good right about there. And then let's place this one right here like that. There we go. So we're kind of beginning to ring around that structure there. My suggestion is that you just leave a little bit of room around the ring so that way sleighs or people can walk around this centerpiece and then kind of get to each section. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, that circle looks good. Okay, I think I'll just kind of remove that for now. That's fine. I don't really, well, actually, maybe we'll desaturate it a little bit. Make it bright. There we go. Let's actually use the blend mode just for now, so it's not so distracting. There we go. Bring that contrast down. Bring the brightness up. Ah, there we go. That looks a little better. Nice. Okay. All right, let's keep adding just a couple more structures here. No, I think all of these look good. Okay, there's a big castle there. That looks kind of good. Not a bad place to put a castles up in these mountains somewhere, but I think we're going to stick with just a village kind of concept. And because I'm limited on my structures, I do want to add some smaller town ones, some smaller buildings So I will actually add in these, but I'm going to choose one that are not too complex, ones that have easy edges to put that shape on. So let's go ahead and put one right there. Let's put another one right. That one's got the chimney there. It'll make it harder to add. Let's do a little bit to this set here. It's a little bright. So why don't we desaturate this a little bit? Bring the brightness up a little bit more. Try to get it to match a little bit. Oopsie, that was contrast. Bring the brightness up. I just kind of want to somewhat match these a little bit. There we go. So let's go ahead and add a structure there. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and put another structure over here somewhere, kind of off to the side. Right there. Let's go ahead and put maybe a little structure in here somewhere. In fact, why don't we add a statue of some kind there? Like that could be like a shrine. There's tons of new statues, especially in the fantasy regional style. So you can see with the classical empires, there's all these beautiful, wonderful statues. So definitely use these. Let's go ahead and use this one right here. I'll kind of place it just right here. This will be like a nice little statue here. And let's kind of get it to match a little bit more of that bluish kind of color. So I'll try to find that bluish color. I'll kind of desaturate a little bit. There we go. That looks good. We'll eventually create a path that leads from the village over to this statue here and this building over here. And there's some nice stuff over here. So we'll probably put something over there. Let's see here. We'll keep going over. Let's see. Let's go ahead and add like a camp of some kind. We'll put a camp over here somewhere. We'll just throw that over there for now. And we'll play with those stamps later. There'll also be like a watchtower. We'll put that over here somewhere. In fact, there can be a couple watchtowers. We'll put 3 of them. And then let's keep looking for more things to add here. Let's see. I think so far this just got to go over it here. No, I think we're actually okay for now. Why don't we go ahead and do those watchtowers real quick? So we'll put a tall one just right here, like this, right on top of that hill. Remember I talked about putting some structures on top of the hill, so we'll put those on top of the hill. This one on top of the hill. These are going to act as watchtowers, right? If anyone is kind of approaching from these wooded areas, these 3 watchtowers right here will keep track. So let's go ahead and select all of these. Cool little trick. If you select one, hamburger menu, select all stamps like this. I'll go ahead and desaturate a little bit, bring the brightness up. That looks good. Okay, that looks good. And then we'll put a camp somewhere eventually. Let's go ahead and do that one trick with the snow. So we'll go ahead and put this, go across here like this, here like this, and go add. There we go. That looks good. I'm not sure I need to blur it or not. Let's go ahead and change the scale a little bit. I think that looks good. Okay, and I'll just go and copy that same piece. Go over here, place it on top of here like this. Snow on top of that one. And then finally this one up here. Some snow on this one. There we go. So now we have some snow on top of our structures. That looks good. All right, got our defenses set up. Let's go ahead and then place these camps. Some good places to put these camps would be maybe at the base of these right here. Like the people who are watching in that tower, they probably need a place to sleep. Maybe they sleep in the tower. Maybe there's a rotation of soldiers or whoever who are kind of watching it all. So we'll put a little campsite just like right here on this hill. And we'll put a little bit of snow on this. The way I'll do it is I'll zoom up like this, and then I can go in and kind of place some snow on top of here. And if you notice, I'm kind of following some of the line work a little bit here. Oopsie, my mistake, wrong one. There, and then there. Go add, there we go. Okay, now I have my snow. And I can go ahead and select this, bring the scale down. It's about the size of a tree, so huge. There we go, that looks good. And let me just make sure that I have this scale right. I've already put down some buildings, so I just want to make sure that I have the scale right. It's about enough room for one person, so that should be okay. There we go. All right, let's also just go ahead and add a little light source. Normally I do this a little bit later, but it doesn't hurt to throw one in if you don't want to. Or throw one in. Let me see here. I always stack my light sources. I'll put an orangish light on top of it, and then I'll take a yellowish light and then put that, a bigger one, on top like this. There we go. And I'll bring the opacity down just a little bit. There we go. Now I have some nice lighting right there. Okay, this looks good. And while I'm at it, why don't I also add a little bit of lighting on top of where that star is right there. Perfect. Okay. Looking good so far. Where are we at for time? Oh, good. We got 30 minutes. Plenty of time. Let's just keep adding as much as we can here. Let's see here. Let's take a couple more of these structures. We'll put them out along the kind of the outskirts, kind of lining along here. Let's put one there. Let's put one maybe right here, right here. And then let's see here. Those are a little too close, clustered together. Maybe this one, like this one right here, like this. And that one like this. Okay. And then on top of that, I also want to make sure that I throw some trees in front of buildings and behind buildings to create that sense of depth. So put some trees in front. Oopsie, wrong one. I got to go up another layer. There we go. I got to put some trees in front. Then I'll put some trees in the back. What I normally do is I'll put like a cluster of them like this, maybe a little cluster, maybe put a little cluster of 3, a single one. Again, the objective is to kind of create this illusion of depth. So let's just, oopsie, those trees are way too big, by the way. My mistake. Let's go back into that history right there. And I'll go ahead and restore this. I made this mistake. There we go. Aha. Okay, and I should go up 2 layers. There we go. I don't want my trees to be varying sizes or too much. Let's get the scale right. That looks good. Okay, put them in front. And then we'll also put some in the back. Okay, just kind of throw them randomly. Put a couple over here, over here. Don't forget to put a couple in the town center itself. That should look good. In front of this tree, in front of this house. Trick is always overlap. Overlap, overlap. You want to make your village look more interesting. Overlap. Okay. We'll leave this an open space right here. All right. Yeah. Hey, first time chatter. And thank you, by the way. Appreciate it. Okay. I do need to put down some snow on these buildings right here. So why don't we do that? We'll go ahead and use that shape that I had. I'll make sure that it gets on the back side as well a little bit there. So we'll go plus, go to add. There's some snow on top of that one. I believe there's another one right here. Now this is a little bit more of a complex shape. I didn't really want to have too complex of a shape, but that's okay. We can go in like this and just kind of follow the dormer. In fact, I don't mind going on the dormer right here like this. There we go. Okay, there's that first one. Add, and then we'll put the next one. In fact, I might be able to flip it. Let's find out. Copy, paste. Can I flip this? We'll find out. Flip. Ah, it looks like you can. Great. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that makes so much easier, right? Than having to hand paint the whole thing. Yeah, it's very, very helpful. I totally admit. I love that trick. Okay, so this is looking good so far. I'm kind of enjoying the overall look of it. Let's go ahead and kind of do some texturing now. We've done a lot of stamps and stuff, so why don't we do some texturing? One of the first things I should probably do is go back to Fantasy Regional, and we'll type in stone ground. We want to have some kind of stone ground right here. So why don't we winterize it a little bit by going into the tweak colors with desaturate, bring the brightness up, bring the contrast down. Let's bring the scale up just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to bring the opacity down. I'm going to use my pen, and I'm just going to paint some of this texture, this stone texture. This is going to represent like the town. So I'm just going to place a little bit of texturing just around here so we have this nice. And then I'm also going to use it to create maybe some roads that lead to certain things. So like there's a road that maybe leads over to here like this. Or maybe there's a road that kind of leads to these two. Maybe there's a road that kind of goes out this way and leads to there. This road should kind of lead over to this statue right here. This one can kind of loop, kind of come around that way, and then we'll continue the loop this way, and then maybe we can create a little circular bit. We can put a well or something interesting right there. Yep, we're just going to put a happy little road right there. There we go. And then we'll even add a little bit just kind of going into each kind of structure. Let's go ahead and have this road kind of going this way and then coming to there. Same thing here. We'll have a little road that kind of leads to this one. That looks good. And then why don't we have a road that kind of goes this way and then kind of makes its way, winding its way to the next spot here. And then same thing here. We'll put a little road that kind of goes and then connects. And then we have a nice loop of travel here. That looks good. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and decorate a little bit more. So one thing you'll kind of notice is that we need to festivize or add some festivities to these structures. So why don't we go back to holiday real quick? We'll do more texturing in just a bit. Let's go ahead and use these right here to kind of create some Christmas decorations. We want to go up a layer above the snow layer. And I'm going to go ahead and what I'll do is I'm going to line the frame of these structures. I'm just going to copy and paste. And I'm just going to line the edge just like this, where the A-frames, where those frames are. And that way we can get some nice decoration on there. Same thing here. I'll add some right here. I don't think there is a line for that, actually. Now that, oopsie. I don't think there, oopsie. Okay, let's go ahead and, ooh. All right, one moment here. Let's go ahead and save manually real quick. So whenever you see that flickering like that, it's generally time to refresh the page. So what I'll do is I'll save manually. Once it's done saving, then we will just simply refresh the page. It might have me log back in. Let's go ahead and just refresh the page, reload. There we go. Let's go ahead and refresh a couple times. There we go. Okay, it should reopen the map. Yeah, I'm surprised there isn't actually a line for that. So that's actually kind of sad. Let's just go ahead and zoom in. There we go. It seems to be working now. That was bizarre. Let me just double check that that's true. I don't think that there is, but let me verify. The only lines that I see here are the effects. So, and there's not that. So unfortunately it is by hand, but it doesn't take very long to do these, thankfully. So we'll just place a couple here just to kind of get that festive kind of look to it. Remember, that's what I want, is this kind of festive holiday feel to it. There we go. Copy and paste. I'm just going to keep adding as many of these as I kind of need. Copy and paste. Yeah, I think overall this is looking good so far. And if you want, you can even have them kind of lining along this ledge here. So if you want to copy and paste and then line along the ledge like this, you can totally do that. So all along that ledge, you can do that as well. Okay, and then we'll add lighting to all of this stuff because all those Christmas lights, all those lights need to have some kind of lighting to it. So we'll get to that. I don't want to overdo it with too much, so I'll just kind of add here and there. That looks good. Copy and paste. Yeah, and I will request Uncanny to have these lines be added. That's kind of bizarre. Surprised they are not added to the tool, but hey, can't always get what you want, right? I would much prefer to do the line tool, but this is what it is for now. Okay, that looks good. Let me just take a step back. How much have I decorated? Oh yeah, a lot of them. Okay, let's just keep going. In fact, what I'll do is I think the ones that are closest to the ring right here, I'll have all the Christmas lights on them, but the ones that are outside of that ring, I won't. That are like further away. So that way I can put the emphasis on these town buildings because they have the decorations, while those buildings outside of the town and the outskirts do not have them. That should make these stick out a lot more. That technique, you could totally use the shape tool to put snow on any stamp, trees or otherwise, so that would all work just fine. Let's keep going. I want to add like just as much decoration as kind of I can to this part of the village. So put some there. Copy paste. That's good. Are these in front or behind? There we go. Put them behind. I want them to be behind the tree. That looks good. Copy paste. Remember that big trick is overlap. You want something to look good, you got to do the overlap. There we go. This one, that looks good. Okay, cool. Let me see where else here. Let's go ahead and do this one as well. There we go. That looks good. Okay. All right. Let's keep adding just a little bit more. I'm almost there. Okay. Ooh, we can even put some on this back side right here like this. There we go. Okay. Let me just... Ooh, let's go ahead and... place those there. There we go. Right on top. That looks good. Getting close. Almost there. Let's push that tree up. There we go. Okay. Copy, paste. Yeah, some fade lights. Okay, I think this entire section right here is done. Where are we at for time? 42? Sweet. We got tons of time. Okay, let's go ahead and add in, I believe there are a couple other holiday stuff that we should add. We're getting close to the detail part, but let's throw in some of these shops. And I think the best place to put the shops would just be right there, right on the ring itself. So let's put some right there, one right here like this. That'll really kind of bring that center part together. Let's also maybe put like a snowman in here somewhere. Let's put one right there like that. Let's also throw in the big Mr. Ho-Ho himself, maybe right here. And then maybe we can throw in some kind of reindeer as well. Let's put a couple there. Let's also throw in the sleigh. Let's put that right over here somewhere. That looks good. Okay, we got some of these nice little lanterns here. Why don't we place those down? One here looks good, and maybe one right there looks good. Maybe one right here looks good. Along those edges, that looks good. In fact, you know what? I don't really care for that. Let's remove those. Let's put a lamp by each. Let's put a lamp by each entrance to where the road is. So there's an entrance right there that goes to that road. There's a road right here. So why don't we kind of add in one there, two here, two right here. I think that looks good. Just along those ledges there. That looks good. Okay. All right. Let's keep checking here. What else we have? I think, why don't we also throw in the presents? Why don't I push this down a layer so they're underneath? Why don't I push this ring all the way down? There we go. So I'll put like a bunch of presents, make them a little bit bigger. There we go. So it looks like they're kind of wrapped around the tree. And then also let's put some smaller presents just kind of lingering around just to kind of break it up. That looks good. Okay. Oh, we got some stockings here. Why don't we kind of hang these stockings along here? Along this boardwalk, or this little right here like this. I think that looks good. I think there's some other boardwalk. I saw some right here. Let's go ahead and have a couple hanging from there. Let me see. Is there any other kind of structures that kind of has that boardwalk? Yeah, right there. Great. That little patio or deck. We'll throw in a couple there like this. I think... Oh, yeah, let's go hang a couple here. There we go. That looks good. Okay, let me take a step back. Okay, yeah, it's all kind of coming together. This looks good. Looks good. Okay, why don't we continue on with that lighting? So let's go ahead and grab those light sources, and we'll go ahead and put these up at the highest layer. And I'm going to place them in some obvious places, like wherever the light source is. So there's going to be one on this lantern right there, as you would expect. I'm going to copy and paste and put that light on each one of those lanterns, as you would expect. And you can also put a light source at the base if you want. So if I take the light source and go all the way down a layer, bring it down like this, and I'm going to go ahead and do some foreshortening, and I'll put this right underneath like that, and it will look like that lamp is casting light down underneath like that. So I can go ahead and place some light right underneath those lamps or lanterns like that. That looks good. Take a step back. I think I might have missed one. That one's got, okay, good. Okay. Let's go ahead now and also place some on the lights themselves. So we'll copy and paste. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to place them a big one. I'm going to place them just here and there on certain ones. So one there, one right here, one right here, here, right there. Remember, the trick is not to have some giant light source covering the whole building because it's going to look kind of weird. So just kind of placing them here and there over certain bulbs should make it a little bit more intriguing. So I'll add a couple here and there, including on the tree, right? There's some lights on the tree. So let's go ahead and place some of those. Some there. Okay. And then we're also going to put some lights in the windows as well. That should make it a little bit more interesting, right? Let me take a step back. The lights are on there. Okay, let's go ahead and also fill in the windows. I'll show you how I go about doing that. So you have some windows right here. I can kind of see them. So why don't we take a couple of these stamps right here. I'm going to copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. There we go. Now I've got all of these selected. Let's go ahead and select all those lights. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and create group. I'm going to copy and paste that group and just place it wherever I see kind of a window. That window there. Let's go ahead and go to the next building. Not really seeing a whole lot of windows there. Oh, here's a window. Let's go ahead and place one right here. One right there. That looks good. We'll go back. Oh, there's a window. Let's go ahead and put those lights right there in that window. Looks good. No windows there. Oh, there's a window. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, there's a window. Let's go ahead and do that one. That looks good. And then let's go back and do these buildings as well. That one. Let's go ahead and put another one in right there. Okay, there should be a couple more buildings. This one right here. Oh, there's a window right there. Perfect. See another one right there. Am I seeing things? Nope, I'm seeing things. That looks good. Oop, here we go. All right, there's a couple more buildings, I believe. Let's kind of find them. That one. Oop, here we go. A bunch of them right here. Okay. Let's double up, make them extra bright in this top building here. Right here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to take a step back so you can kind of see it. So you can see the lighting starts to come together, those windows. That light looks good. Let's go ahead and add one more larger light source like this, just to kind of have that glow. Turn off that random rotate. One big glow right there. There. Let's try to, oh, there's another window right there. Let's put big light source there. There. Right there should look good. Here. Here. Okay. Let me take, I think, oh, I missed a light source right here. Let's go ahead and V right there. That looks good. And then we'll add that light source right there like this. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a step back and just see how it looks so far. All right, it's coming together really, really well. I'm kind of enjoying it. The one thing I want to do, though, is I see a lot of this snow right here just looks very, very repetitive. So why don't I break up that repetition by layering some snow textures on top of each other. So I'll go back to this catalog, type in snow, and then click Inkarnate. and then just give it just a few moments. All of the textures from every single style will show up. So just one moment, there it is to load. And let's go ahead and just take this alpha snow texture and let's just kind of place some in this most open field type of area like this. This will kind of break up some of that snow. Let's also put some of it in between right here. And what this should do is, again, kind of break up the monotony of the textures, because right now it's a lot of the same texturing just repeating itself. And so to break that up, we'll put a series of different types of snow. Let's also maybe use some other snow stamps. Let's go into the catalog again and type in snow. And there should be some nice snow drifts. Let me see if I can find it. This one right here is a good stamp. It's fantasy battle maps, but it makes for a great pile of snow. We'll go over that in a minute. I'll just place it on the canvas for later. And then there is something called snow drifts. That's these right here. And these snow drifts will be great for making your terrain look a little bit more interesting. Okay. Let me just kind of place one down to see what it looks like. Okay, I think it blends in fairly well. So let's go ahead and place a couple of these just on the map like this. And then these snow drifts should break up and create a little bit more sense of depth and more interesting terrain by throwing in these little snow drifts. It's a good choice. Let's put a couple snow drifts here. One over here, here, here. That looks good. A couple here. There we go. Just kind of breaks it up a little bit, makes it a little bit more interesting. And then I did mention these snow piles right here. These work great. My recommendation is just do a little bit of foreshortening so it doesn't look like it's purely top down. And then, of course, I would change that blend mode to luminosity. And then you have this nice pile of snow just right here on the ground. If it pops out a little too much, you can always just bring the contrast down and bring the brightness up, and it should blend a little bit more seamlessly that way. So let's go ahead and place a couple snow clusters on the ground just to kind of break it up a little bit, making it more interesting. Let's put a big one right there, brush right on where that tree was. Let's put a smaller one like over here like this. That looks good. Let's go ahead and make some smaller variants, so some small ones. Let's put random rotate or random. There we go. Some smaller ones just to kind of break that up. There we go. All right, let me take a step back and look at it so far. Yeah, those snow, makes it look much more interesting than just those endless ripples in the snow. So I think that looks much, much better. Let's go ahead and wait for just to do this last save, and then we'll do the last bits, which is going to be the filters. And I'll show you some cool tricks with the filter. Let's make a shield that goes over the Kringle Township. There should be some force fields in the effects. Let me type that. Here we go. There's this one right here, this force field, kind of a big one. You can kind of place this just right here like this, or up here like this. I'll go ahead and take these snow drifts, select all from the set, and push this down a layer. There we go. Same thing with these ones. They're all on the 10th layer. We don't need that, so I'll bring it down. There we go. That looks better. Move this tree over to here. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and play around with the shield a little bit. So let's rotate this a little bit. Let's change the hue to maybe fit more of a bluish color to fit with more of the winter theme. To saturate it, bring the brightness up, and then we'll change the blend modes, perhaps. Sometimes you can get some really interesting effects just playing with blend modes. I kind of like that overlay. It doesn't hide too much. Notice how it doesn't kind of hide too much. So I think that makes it a little bit more interesting, just having this little force field around there. That looks good. Okay, now that that's been done, let's go ahead and play with filters. So if you've made a brand new map with Inkarnate, you'll notice that there isn't a filter tool on the left side in the left panel anymore. It's been moved over here to the right panel where the layers are. If I just go add layer and then go filter layer, what I can do is I can now choose what filters I want. And the first one that I'm probably going to pick, which just makes the most sense, is I might want to consider choosing a color filter. Oopsie, I used the wrong one. Let me go ahead and delete this real quick. Oops, remove layer. Yes, okay. Add filter layer. We want it to be a color filter. The first one I probably want to do is change it to a winter. So we'll have that one, but I don't want the winter to overpower my lights. So I probably will push that winter filter just down, maybe just one layer. In fact, you know what? I think I'll leave that there. That's fine. Let's just bring the opacity down a little bit. We can bring out this color. There we go. There we go. Get that blue in here. Now, a really cool trick with filters. You'll like this. I'll bring the opacity all the way up. Cool little trick. Take my filter, right click, and say add mask. And now you'll see there's this layer mask right here. Now what this will do is I can remove portions of the filter, right? So check this out. Let's just visualize the mask. So this red right here is everything that's going to be, is where the filter is going to affect everything. So what I want to do is maybe go over to fill with black, and this will remove everything. Then I go back over to white, and then this will help me paint where the filter is going to be affected. So what I can do is I can paint this red right here all outside of the filter. So just all along outside wherever the filter is. Like this, I'm going to paint all outside of that, where that force field is. And the red is where the filter is going to be affected, okay? So I'm going to go over like this. Here we go, okay. Now when I remove my visual mask, you'll notice that that filter is only affecting this area outside, but when I go inside, you'll note inside this area where I painted where the red wasn't, you'll notice that the filter is not being applied to this area right here. So I was able to have this whole this whole region be affected by that winter filter, but not this region was affected by the winter filter. So this is very useful. You could have a night filter or a weather filter of some kind that has on the outside of a structure, and while the interior of the building will not be affected by that filter. So a nice little trick is you can add layer masks to filters. So very, very helpful. Why don't we add a couple more filters? Let's add another one. Let's go back to filter. Oh, not land, my mistake. We'll go ahead and delete that. Let me undo. There we go. And we'll go back to add layer filter. Some other obvious ones are a texture filter. Why don't we go with snow? That looks good. Oh, the snow, let's push that all the way up. There we go. Let's make sure it's all the way visible. Got some snow in there. That looks good. Why don't we also apply some red filter a little bit to the inside so we can bring out some of those browns and everything. So let's try that. Let's add another filter. Filter layer. Let's go with red sky. There we go. Okay. Let me see here. Let's move that up to here. Let's go ahead and add that layer mask. There we go. And then we will visualize the mask so I can see it. There we go. And then I will remove the area which is not going to be affected by it. So I'll go ahead and kind of remove this. And that red filter, or whatever filter I want to put there, will only be affected within that red area there. So let's do that. 1 second while I kind of erase these areas here. Here we go. Let's go back to opaque and then kind of fill in some of this circle right here like this. And then we'll have to make adjustments to the filter. So let's go ahead and do this. That looks good. Let's go ahead and turn off the mask. There we go. So you see there's kind of this yellowish kind of color inside of there. So we can go back to the layer mask and just bring the opacity down. And you can see that I can change the opacity. So let's add a little bit more yellow into this, as you would kind of expect from all those lights, right? So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. A little bit more. There we go. That looks good. There you go. Okay, I think that overall, that looks good. We got the force field on there. We were able to show more lighting using filters and layer masks. I think overall this looks good. Why don't we do a couple more things? Why don't we create like a winter storm that's creating a frame that's kind of engulfing around the edges of it? So why don't we add another filter? Filter layer. Let's go into textures. And we'll go ahead and select the filter, go into the filter catalog. I'm going to click Inkarnate so I can see filters from every style. And there's this nice cloud kind of landscape here. This cloud right here might do well at the very, very top like that. Actually, why don't we put it below the winter filter so it's kind of bluish color. Let me see, which one is the winter filter? It's that one. So why don't we put that right there? There we go. Oopsie, wrong, my mistake. I went to grab the other one. We'll undo that real quick. Clouds, let's move that right there. There we go. And then let's also bring the opacity all the way up. There we go. And now you have this nice kind of cloudy, like defensive wall that goes around the Kringle. So kind of shielding it, kind of protecting it. All right, well, I think that is it. Let me see, where are we at for time? 4:01. Yeah, that's it. The only other thing that I would recommend is that you could create these cool tracks. One thing I like to do is to create these wheel ruts from tracks. So if I just type in track, and again, this is one of those things where there is no line tool for this, but these tracks from the watercolor city style, these do wonders. So what you can do is you can kind of place these down. Make sure I'm on the object layer here. And then you can kind of use these to kind of create some tracks. And you just kind of piece them together. Again, we don't have the line tool for this yet, though I would love to personally see that. So let's just kind of scale these up a little bit. Let's make sure that I kind of have the size right. Let's move this one right here to like this. And then we'll kind of push all these together. Another one right here like this. This longer one should look good right about there. And then you can kind of create these series of tracks that kind of go all over the place, kind of making it a little bit more interesting. And I'll show you the cool trick about making tracks look more interesting. One of them is the split. So if I place a stamp right here like this, it looks like it's split off across. And you want to maybe create another split. You can go ahead and take these more rounded ones like this and just kind of place it just like this, and it will look like there's kind of a split, a three-way in the trail though. So if you can make it a little bit more interesting creating these tracks, I think that's a really, really, really nice touch. Let's select all of them and make sure they're on the right layer. There we go, down below. And then you can kind of take a lot of these, like I want to have some tracks that go this way. Maybe I want some tracks that kind of go around the structure. Like maybe I want to have some that go like this. Let's put one that goes right here. Goes like this, over to here. Let's push this one over here like this. So you can kind of really create some interesting things when you kind of put these tracks together, and you get some really interesting effects. So go ahead, definitely look for those tracks and kind of place them. And I think just that little detail of adding in these tracks is just that little extra detail that makes the map so more interesting. All right, well, I think that's it. I mean, we really kind of put it together. We added the snow, the clouds, we added all the different things. It really has that feel to it. I actually like this map much more than the map that I had prepped with. So this is really quite nice and I really enjoy it. I think that is it, everybody. Thank you so much. I think there's only one more stream this week on Friday, and then there will be no more streams for the remainder of the month, as you guessed, because of the holidays. But I have a bunch of clips, time lapses that will be scheduled during the winter holidays, so that way you'll still have plenty of content coming to the YouTube channel so that you're not without some fresh content. All right, well, hey, thanks everyone. I had fun putting this together. I appreciate you going on this little adventure with me. Happy holidays to all of you. You're fabulous. Have a wonderful time with family and friends. I will see you all on Friday, and I will do more holiday wishes then. All right, please stay safe and healthy, and merry map making. I'll see you all. Bye.